Is there a housing crash coming in 2022? No, there is not. Is the market going to dip in 2022? Not likely. Will it plateau in 2022? Probably not. But could the market shift from its current hockey stick trajectory and make it a tiny bit easier to buy a home in 2022? Possibly. I'm Matt Stone Sr., and thank you for tuning into this video. Every day, I talk to prospective home buyers, and the number one reason they give me for not getting serious about buying a home is that they have heard a housing crash is right around the corner, or they're waiting for the crash so they can take advantage of lower home prices. Well, folks, I hate to break it to you, but the housing market didn't crash in 2020. It didn't crash in 2021. And in this video, I'm going to explain why I don't believe it will crash in 2022 either. First, let's talk about why people are afraid that a crash might be coming soon. I honestly think a lot of it is just an excuse they give to not buy a home right now. Maybe they aren't in a great place financially, and it's just easier to say they're going to wait and see what happens, or they're going to wait for a crash so they can get a house cheaper. Then there are those who compare this market to the 07-08 market and use that as a basis for an impending crash. Others think there's going to be a flood of foreclosures hitting the market soon, another topic we could devote an entire video to. Not today, though. I think some people legitimately don't want to get burned or buy a home that they might be upside down in right after they buy it. A valid concern, but not one that I think people should be worried about. Lastly, I think most people out there just don't understand the housing market. Whether it's in their area or across the country, they just don't understand it well enough. They have conversations with their friends or family member, or they tune in to a few opinions on social media from time to time, but they haven't really investigated what's going on and what the markers are that truly indicate whether a market is going to shift or not. So here is why I do not believe a crash is coming to the housing market in the year 2022. First of all, this is not the same situation as 2008. We can make a whole video on what the differences are, and I think I actually will very soon. But the basics are this. Back in 06 and 07 and 08, supply was high and demand was low. It was extremely easy for people to get a home loan with a ridiculously low introductory interest rate, and people were buying multiple homes to turn a short-term profit. Then, because demand was low, they couldn't sell their home when their rate went high, and it was basically a fire sale of houses. Thus, the crash. Now, of course, there were many other factors involved that we're not going to get into here, but suffice it to say that the situation is drastically different today. We have very low supply, or inventory as it's called, with very high demand. That's what's driving the prices up. We don't have enough people selling their homes, and we have an entire generation of millennials and Gen Z who have aged into needing a home. They've been renting for a few years, they have a child or two, a good job and good income, and they want to take advantage of the incredibly low interest rates and own a home. Yes, some of it is people from places like California moving into the area, but the takeaway is that there are more people than ever who qualify for home ownership and they are ready to buy. So that leads us to interest rates. Back in 07 and 08, fixed 30-year rates were like near 6%. Not the case now. You can get a 30-year fixed for near 3%. Rates would have to rise sharply for us to be in another situation leading to a crash. As well, our situation isn't like 08 because most buyers back then were getting an adjustable rate mortgage with low intro rates. Because it was adjustable, it had nowhere to go but up, way up. And when the payment got too high because of the higher rates and supply was high because of overbuilding, owners weren't able to sell their house or rent their house. And they couldn't make a profit. So it was time to sell it at all costs. And sell they did. Or they just walked away because, for the most part, it wasn't their primary residence. Another factor was that 15 years ago, they would give a home loan to anyone with a pulse and a signature. Definitely not the case now. So how about the foreclosure issue? Yes, I do believe there will be some homes that are foreclosed on, but not enough to shift the market. Not right now anyway. Consider this. If you own a home, but for whatever reason you can't make the payment, would you let the bank take it, or would you list it for sale and pocket all the equity that your house has appreciated over the past 1, 2, 5, 10 years? In our area at least, homes have appreciated close to 10 to 20% just in the last year. So anyone with some brains could sell their home in a few weeks and have a lot of cash to move forward with. For this reason alone, we're not going to see foreclosures affect the market much in 2022. So if the market isn't going to crash in 2022, and most likely it isn't going to dip or plateau for the same reasons we've already talked about, could it cool a little? Yeah, I think so. As interest rates begin to rise, we're going to see another frenzy of home buying from people want to get in at these low rates. But eventually, this could lessen the demand a little because rising rates does affect your monthly house payment and affects your ability to buy homes at a certain price. Another reason is that builders are moving at a record pace to build more homes, create more supply, and of course make as much money as possible in this season of feast. As well, young buyers are becoming open to other geographic options. These buyers are looking at what their $200 or $300 or $4,000 will buy them in their home area, and then they're looking around the country, especially in the South and the Midwest, and seeing how much more home they can get for the same money. Not the biggest factor, but I think it will contribute to the market shifting just a little in the coming year or two. So finally, you have the great unknown factor. Meteoric growth can only be sustained for so long before something causes a shift. Government policy, COVID, or some other new disease, maybe a natural disaster, stock and bond market shifts, employment, war, etc. All of these and others that we haven't even considered can subtly or dramatically affect the housing market. So hopefully I've given you some good evidence as to why home buyers should not be worried about the market crash. But whether you're convinced or not, here's the takeaway. Whatever happens in the next year or so, the steps you should be taking are the same either way. Save money, spend less, work on improving your credit score, increase your income if you can, even if it's just by a little bit. Have good job history, get out of as much debt as possible. Carefully consider all of your options so you're prepared when the time is right. Think about location, features, your commute, neighborhoods, where your kids are going to grow up, all of those types of things. Know what you really want and what you really need so you can act when the time is right. Time can really be your ally when you're getting prepared to buy a home. And finally, depend less on trends and emotions and more on good data. Study the market, talk to professionals in the industry, get good advice. Don't be swayed by memes and short sentences. Dig deeper, and I promise it will pay off for you. So thank you for watching, and if you have any questions about anything we've talked about in this video, or if you have specific questions about your situation, please reach out to me. All of my direct contact information is listed below, and I would be happy to sit down and talk about helping you reach your real estate goals. Till next time.